Yeah. I think what's worked best for us is a healthy amount of weeds around. Like they're
Really? I
well,
haven't heard that.
especially certain kinds of things like they are trap plants. Like if you have nothing but your food growing there, the bugs are all going to go for your food. But if you have a healthy
I could
amount
see
of
that.
weeds around, which is not on purpose, but it turned out to be a benefit because a lot of the bugs went to the weeds. So
This is feeding into my laziness. This is
yeah,
great.
exactly.
Love
It's a good
this.
excuse.
It's a very specific, highly engineered gardening plan.
Exactly. I put those weeds there on purpose, man.
I have a transplant those.
Inside of the city, the people are crazy, out of their minds, they ain't got a clue. We gone away, headed west for Montana, left family and friends, all I got now is you. We both got new jobs, a house and a homestead, thinking this was the life, all that there'd be. After our firstborn, you had to stay home. That's when the work got in the way for me. Well, I started farm hop life. We'll come to your farm to help and to wander. Me and the family, a truck and an RV. Send us a message and there will be.
This is the Farm Hop Life Podcast, a traveling homestead family. I'm Matt Drozier. Tonight, my guest is Ken, and he and his wife, Carmel, live on a small farm in Burkesville, Kentucky, between raising golden retrievers, goats, bacon seeds. They also have a full-time business, Ken in construction and Carmel in house cleaning. They also find full time to pursue personal interests, hobbies, and side hustles, which gives them so much to do and so little time. Like,
Oh, so true.
thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been looking forward to this for quite some time. It's been hard to connect between busy schedules between both you and me, and then last time we had it scheduled, I got sick, so it can be a
Right.
challenge sometimes finding that time that works for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate you being here. I've very curious to see what you have going on because, I've obviously heard your name quite a bit, through like the TSP community and then like Fireside Freedom and all that. And then like your own personal podcast, which we were talking about briefly, that you have a lot of. Yeah.
I have multiples.
I'm surprised you don't have a how to make a podcast.
Well, I'm still in the learning phase. I mean, I've got one podcast that's typically one episode a week, and then if I have an interview, I'll do two. Occasionally, I'll throw a bonus in there. I'm at I think 145 episodes on that one, so I've been going at it for about 2 years. I had another one that I ran for a little over a year, I think, the Team Catalyst podcast, which I put that one to rest about 6 months ago. I think I was over 200 episodes on that one. So I've done quite a few episodes, but I would still consider myself a beginner.
Sure. Well, you know how to start them. Like that's hard.
Yeah,
That's the rest of everyone gets hung up, right?
right. I think they say if you make it past episode like 11, then you're in the top, however, very small percentage.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So I can start it. It's just a matter of keeping it going and finishing it, following it through to the logical conclusion.
Sure. Sometimes like you just have like a couple ideas, like you just need to like get it out there. You're like, I'm satisfied. I'm good.
Yeah, done. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do that too often, I think.
One thing that I have enjoyed listening to you, like you're a very good speaker. You have a talent for just being able to just talk and be engaging and whatnot. And I have only tried to speak on my own once, and I will not try to do another one of those episodes. So every single one of my episodes, I've got somebody else to
I got you.
bounce off of. So
Yeah. Are you? Would you consider yourself a little more outgoing or a little more of a reserved person?
reserved.
reserve.
The curiosity, like my curiosity is what like helps me get through. Like I'll just keep asking questions and let the other person do the talking.
There you go. I'm definitely more that way, more reserved. I originally started my first podcast as a way to help me verbalize things better, to actually have coherent thoughts and be able to get my words out. I don't know if you notice a lot when I talk with my hands too. So
I'm only listening, so yeah. But oh man, I had another question. Now I forgot it. Normally I write these down. See, I'm all out of
been out of the office.
Practice. Yeah, been out of practice. Yep, that's right. Oh, now I remember. On your own podcast, you don't really speak too much, that I've heard anyways, about what it is you have going on your property. It's more like motivational. Here's, kind of not life coach, because that like sounds terrible, but just like
everybody's a life coach, right?
Just not for themselves.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to diagnose other people's problems, but who wants to do the introspection and actually fix themselves?
Oh, gross. Don't even let me talk about myself. So I wanted to get you on here so you could talk about what it is that you've got going on your property there in Kentucky. So
where to start?
Are you neighbors with Thomas Massey?
He's 2.5, 3 hours northeast of me, I think, more towards closer to Louisville, I think. I'm all the way at the southern end of the state. I mean, I can almost throw a rock and hit Tennessee. So when my wife and I originally moved here, we moved from South Georgia, and we desperately wanted to be in Tennessee, because I don't know why at the time we were like, we don't want to be from Kentucky. That's hillbillies and just a little kind of backwoods. And so for the longest time, we would tell people that we lived just north of the Tennessee line. We didn't tell them that we were north of the northern Tennessee line, because then they'd know we were in Kentucky. But if we put it that way, they'd think we were in Tennessee. But we've come to fall in love with it. I mean, it's like anywhere. It has its its beautiful parts. It's got its the parts you'd rather not be in, call it the underarm parts. But I don't know. We love where we're at, for sure.
I think every state has that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes it's a major city, but
yeah, like even where I grew up in Georgia, I didn't live in the prettiest part of the state, but I mean that was home for me. Like I still love it down there. I was close to the coast. You go down there, and it's just something about that feel. It's nowhere else in the country, and every state's like that. If you just find the beauty in it,
that's right.
It's what you're looking for. I think I just told somebody earlier, you find what it is that you're looking for. Whether it's good in something or the bad in something. If you're trying to find it, you probably will.
That's really. There is something to that, because it's like you're not hung up on any one place or thing. You can look beyond. I mean, really, your own like comfort level, because like people are like, no, I was born 5 miles that way, and my parents are whatever 2 miles that way. Like they'd really never leave. Whereas other types are more adventurous, and like they're okay with being uncomfortable, and yeah.
And I mean, there's something to be said for the history, the family part of growing up where your parents and grandparents and great grandparents grew up. I read an article a couple weeks back, and it called the people that grow up, where their parents and grandparents and everybody did, call them I think the somewheres, or I think that's what it called it. And then the people that just move around, the anywheres. And it's interesting how people that are the anywheres that move around actually want to be, they want to belong somewhere. They want to be from somewhere that they're actually plugged into. If you follow these, a lot of the van life people, they go for a year, 2 years, something like that. And, the adventure wears off, and they look for a place to plug into. Like they need a place to belong. And I think we all need that. I don't know. I like belonging somewhere. It's something to be said for it.
Yeah,
I like
that's
nature too.
true. Yeah, yeah. You need to have both. Like, how can you achieve both, right?
Mhm.
Um, yeah, that was kind of our thing. I mean, our plans drastically changed in the last 3 months. But like, we were supposed to, get a travel trailer and go around the country helping other homesteaders, and then I ended up taking a new job just by like, act of God, basically.
Mm.
And so that kind of took a back seat. Yeah, but I'm trying to like pivot it so like it kind of still works. Um, and that was one thing that I was hung up on was like, well, I have some community here, and then as I like, as I took the new job and we ended up, not getting the travel trailer, I'm like, we'd actually have a pretty decent community here. Like, how can I make it stronger now? Like, since I'm here, how do I, make it better?
Yeah.
That's something I've been rattling around lately.
And on the community aspect, one of the hardest things to do that I never realized, because I lived in the same area where I grew up for just probably 28 years out of my life. I was one when we moved there, and I grew up there. I knew everybody. I had that community, and I didn't realize how hard it would be to actually find or create or plug into a community in an area where I knew nobody. Like, we moved to this area not knowing a single person, and I was up for it. I knew it wouldn't be the easiest thing in the world, but I had no idea 6 years later we still wouldn't have that thing. I don't have the close friendships that I would have expected to have. I don't have
Right.
people that I just call up and be like, hey, let's hang out this weekend. My closest friends here live an hour and a half away, 2 hours away. So I didn't realize how hard finding that community actually would be.
So let's see. I mean, you have like I'm assuming you're like in contact with like your neighbors and other people that do like, I don't know, farmers markets or something like that. So
We did farmers market the first 2 summers that we lived here, and did not enjoy it at all. Like, we liked some of the people that were there. We didn't like everybody.
you can be
But
very cliquey, I've heard.
right, and they can be. It was kind of interesting. In our little town, there's a locals farmers market and the implants farmers market. And of course, we were at the implants farmers market, and the two don't get along.
That's funny.
Since then, we've come to find out that we actually like and get along with the locals farmers market a little better. So we've interacted with those people some more, but we haven't gone back to raising produce to take to market. It's more we grow for ourselves, and maybe go to farmers market to meet people and to buy what's there. But for the first 2 years, yeah, it was, I don't know. We didn't enjoy it. It was for us.
So, I mean, you said your best friend's like 2.5 hours away. I mean, you've got like acquaintances or, people that you could call
Oh,
nearby, right?
oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's people that we know around for sure. Like, it's not like I don't know the people, but as
Sure.
far as calling somebody up to come over on a Friday night and play cards or sit around a fire, no, I mean, we're trying to develop that. And
Sure.
we live in an area called Salt Lake Bend, and the river comes around and does a loop and almost touches itself. So there's like a really narrow spot that you have to cross on a ridge to get down to where we're at. And my wife and I are in our mid-30s, and I think we're probably the youngest couple in here by maybe a couple of decades. So we have a neighborhood party every year, and it's like all old folks, and they come out here and reminisce about how, yeah, we used to play softball over in that field when we were growing up, and went to that church down the road, and we'd all get together every Sunday night, have a fire, and they sit there and reminisce, and we get the history of the place. But they're all old folks. But I mean, it's good. You got to develop those relationships as well.
Yeah, they almost need more attention than just like, just, hey, you're in your mid-30s, I'm in my mid-30s, like, whatever. Like, you kind of like same life stage, more or less. But if someone's like decades ahead of you, they're either like, hey, a new face, let me talk to them. Or they're like, no thanks.
No thanks. Yeah. Yeah. Most of the people here, at least the locals that I run into, are just over the top friendly, like super nice.
Good.
I've heard some people say in our area that it's really hard for an outsider to move in. I haven't found that to be true. Like, maybe I haven't come in and tried to change anything or really plug in and wedge my way into areas. But as far as the people I've met and the people I know and have become friends with, super nice, super friendly. I mean, just top notch. Love it. Good old Southern hospitality.
I hope that's actually true and not just like something that's like, I'm from Minnesota, so it's like Minnesota nice, like not real thing. I'm sure you've heard Brian Alexkovich say that before.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. Just if you come down south, and especially farther down south, if you hear somebody say "bless your heart," that's an insult.
I think
don't say something, bless his heart. Like, no, he just can't help it. That's a Southern insult.
It sounds nice though. Maybe that's. I mean,
yeah,
that's
it is. I mean, it's
so.
I love it. Yep.
So, how did you get into homesteading then? Like, how did you get started? Because, I mean, did you just start when you moved to Kentucky, or take me through that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I've always grown up. We've always had animals. Growing up, we had quail, pheasants, chickens, turkeys, raised pigs from time to time, had calves, raised them for beef, had a lamb when I was a real young kid. Still don't know if we ate it or if they gave it away. I'm not sure what happened to that thing. But as I grew up, into my teens and, young 20s, got married, I was less and less into the animals. I had a horse at that time and still loved dogs. I still liked animals, but I wasn't into the farming and homesteading and all of that. I thought I was going to go become like I don't know, cell phone repair tech, or like I loved tinkering with gadgets and figuring out stuff on the computers. I'm my family's tech support. So that was kind of what I was pushing towards, was creating my own business out of that. And I think in like 2014, sounds right. There was an event out in Oregon, which you may remember. The Bundys, and I mean, they were involved, but it wasn't just them. The Malheur Wildlife Preserve thing. Yeah. That, I fully expected a civil war to break out of that. Like, after that, I can't even remember his name anymore, that got shot and killed. I expected a civil war.
Sure. I think I was I remember that too. I remember thinking that too. I'm like, this kind of seems like a big deal. Like,
yeah.
And then it ended up being like a whole nothing burger.
Right? Yeah, it just nothing ever came of it. And so it was at that point that I'm like, all right, we got to find somewhere that we can like grow our own food and have our own little bunker and, hole ourselves up if the world goes to hell in a handbasket. And so it was at that point that we started looking for an area. I've always wanted to move to North Georgia. I love that kind of country, kind of mountainous, a little cooler. Wasn't quite as hot as South Georgia. I wanted to get away from the heat, and ended up in Kentucky. Moved here at the end of 2016 and started growing as much food as we could, which turned out to be not as much as we hoped. And, raising animals, we're constantly adding new animals. But the challenges, like everything that you add adds 5 extra challenges, it seems like.
I mean, what would life be without problem solving, right?
Oh man, so much easier. No, we have come up with creative ways to dispatch, and I don't say that on purpose, to dispatch nearly every animal that we've raised.
Minus the golden retrievers.
Right, minus the golden retrievers, and I say that tongue in cheek because we've lost some of every animal, every meat animal that we've raised except for the rabbits have died from one tragedy or another. Whether that was our calves that died from pneumonia, it got cold and rainy and we didn't catch it in time, and we brought them in and tried to warm them up, and they ended up dying. Whether that was our sow last year, that after we butchered chickens, we fed the sow and the babies all the chicken innards, and I guess she ate all of them and OD'd on chicken guts and died.
I didn't know you could do that. I thought
I didn't either. But now hopefully somebody else knows and doesn't overfeed their pig.
Dang.
Yeah, we lost a goat from basically they go into ketosis. I can't remember what you call it, but she was pregnant, I think with twins, maybe triplets. She was huge. Within a couple of weeks of giving birth. And what happens, I don't remember what they call it, but if they're not getting quite the right nutrients, their body starts eating itself. And if you don't catch it and reverse it really quick, they die. And we didn't catch it in time, and she died. So it's not easy losing an animal, but yeah, we've lost just about every kind of animal we've raised here, unfortunately. But we still keep trying and plugging away at it.
Well, I think that's good because really, do anything long enough and something's bound to happen, right? Just by odds.
Yeah.
Do carpentry enough. You eventually fall off a ladder or
put a nail in your finger.
Nail in your finger, into your boot, through your boot, into your foot, something,
Yeah.
For
sure.
The people that do farming and ranching, they'll lose crops, lose animals, they'll lose, the whole barn sometimes. So
yeah, that stuff happens. I mean, you can only do so much, and some of the things you just don't know until you know. And then once you go through that, you can spot the signs the next time, and you know what you're looking for, and can catch it and remedy it before the animal dies or whatever.
So the motivation is to really just be prepared in case, at the time there was kind of like a potential civil war was kind of like your eye opener. But I mean, the staying power, anything you can get hooked on something from almost nothing, like a catchy jingle on TV, right?
Right.
But it has to have staying power too. So I mean, it's got to be enjoyable for you to be able to raise your animals. So what keeps that interest for you?
The biggest thing that keeps the interest for my wife and I is just the quality of the food. For years before we ever moved and thought we wanted to have huge gardens and raise our animals, we were on a journey to find the healthiest way to eat. Trying to get non-GMO organic stuff and cut out sugar. We've pretty well cut out sugar out of our diet for 13 years.
Wow.
And I mean, little bits here and there, we still do some honey and things like that. But as far as what most people do, the majority of most people's diet is the sugar, flour, all of that. Try to do the sourdough. So we've been kind of on that journey for 12 years. And just since we started gardening and growing animals here on our farm, the quality, the difference in quality that you can see from even what you grow with no inputs and an organic thing from the store, what you grow on your farm, it looks better, tastes better, You feel better on it. You don't know the difference until you experience it. It's odd.
It's really it's really like a total reset of like your taste buds and like your gut health too. Because
Yeah.
we had raised meat birds. Let's see, that'd be 2 years ago now, and we had just like we were cleaning out the freezer and there was like some chicken, like store-bought chicken in there, and like, oh, okay, whatever, we'll use this up. And I could not take more than one bite. Like it was so bad. Like it was like chewy and like stringy at the same time, and it was like it was like eating like an old rooster. It was pretty gross, and I'm like, yeah, we're not doing that again. Well,
Dog food.
Dog food, yeah. And then from those meat birds, we also had my my brother, sister-in-law, and their 2 kids over, and we had one of our meat birds for dinner one time, and I'm like, I told my niece and nephew, I'm like, you're never gonna have food that's like was raised like it was like 30 feet over there is where it like lived and died.
Yeah.
So like it's never gonna
the best. Like
yeah.
It doesn't compare to anything you could buy in the store. I mean, it's exponentially better.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And especially like, even like those bougie like grocery stores where they're like, they sell like the finest cuts of whatever. Like, yeah, it's better for sure. But like once you have want to like raise it yourself, or at least like shake the hand of the person that like grew it.
Yeah.
That's second best. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we grow. I think our favorite thing that we grow is mangalitsa pigs. They're a really hairy pig, and like nothing.
They're like woolly. It's so funny.
It is. It's they're a fun pig, but they are the absolute best meat you have ever had. They're actually considered a red meat. I don't know if you saw. I posted a picture. I think I posted it on Instagram here a couple weeks back. We butchered one, and it looks like a steak. I took pictures of a stack of ribs and pork chops, and it looks like steak. Like you would think it's beef.
Crazy.
Yeah, but so tasty, like melt in your mouth and just, oh, so good.
That's why you do it. That's what keeps me. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Unfortunately, these pigs take a solid twice as long to grow out to butcher size as other pigs. So, like other people talk about getting piglets and raising them for 3 months, and they'll be 300 pounds. I've had mine for a year, and they're like 200 pounds. So I've got another 8 months to go with them.
So if you don't do farmers markets, what's your method for like selling those? Just like Facebook and stuff like that, or?
This will be our first round that we've raised out to sell. So yeah, Facebook, friends, family, podcast. They talk about it some. I don't know. I haven't figured out that avenue for selling yet. Maybe reach out to some fellow podcasters that have a bigger audience. Push this, and I'll give you a cut.
A literal cut of.
Yeah, I'll send you a cut.
Ken's Butcher Box.
Yep, there you
go. So what kind of like methods, practices, or like techniques do you have on your place? Like we obviously listen to like a lot of the same people. So like, do you have like any like permaculture principles on your place? And like, those mangalitsas, like they're pigs. First they're a handful, and then they're like they root. Like their whole thing is that they root, and so it's like a whole other management method just for them. Yeah. So I'm curious how you do it.
With the pigs, we're rotating them. Right now we're kind of letting them work up an area that we'll just keep them there until things start to grow again, and we can start moving them around on grass. They love grass. These ones do. And but right now we're just letting them work up an area that's kind of a sacrificial area for now, and then we'll grow corn in it or something next year. As far as the crops, the trees and stuff that we grow, we pretty much not on purpose, but kind of used the stun method. Are you familiar with that one?
I've heard of it.
Sheer
Refresh
total
me.
utter neglect.
Yeah. It's like you're either going to live or you're not. And
Exactly. Yep. There's not a whole lot of watering that goes on. There's not a whole lot of fertilizing, not a whole lot of weeding sometimes. You try to keep up, and then once it gets so far ahead, you're just like, fine. What lives, lives, and what doesn't will go to the birds or something.
yeah, yep.
I know, because, I mean, my wife did really well with that the first couple of years we lived here, but she started up her own house cleaning business. Really got it going good last year. And when you've got a full-time business or a full-time job of any kind, it's hard to keep up with all of those things. Like you can do some, but we were growing popcorn. We planted a couple acres of field corn, like to grow out for the pigs, which we didn't get much out of because we didn't take care of it. Had sweet corn, of course, and then she does really good at growing out peppers. Always the hot peppers, grind them up for our spices. Tried tomatoes; those never seem to do well here. We haven't figured that one out yet, but just trying a lot of different things. She told me the other day, though, she's like, I'm going to try to focus more because I've got my hand in too many jars out in the garden. So I'm just going to grow like these half a dozen things and just grow them good and let that be it.
Yeah, that sounds like a good method. Like, everyone, I don't know what your social media looks like, but in the last month for me, everyone's like got their seed catalogs and they're all excited. And I'm like, yeah, I'd be good with like 5 things. I don't need to try this ultra rare, whatever, glow in the dark carrot thing. Like,
It looks cool on Instagram, but I mean,
it sure does. And it's a lot, but yeah, I'm just simple.
Yeah. These are the things we eat. Let's just grow those. If we want the other stuff, we'll go to that bougie store and buy it.
Yeah, I know where to get it if I want it. And like, the hill that we live on, the neighbor just up the road a little bit, she's dropped off baskets of like tomatoes, cucumbers, onions, potatoes, yams, stuff like that. So it just shows up at the door. So
if you live in the country and you've got old folks around, like people that aren't the bougie type, they're growing stuff and just begging to give it away. So
yeah,
we're constantly being given stuff. So I mean, you're never going to go hungry.
Yeah, it's nice. It's very, very nice. As long as like you reciprocate with something. I mean, whether it be like good conversation or just helping them with like something, literally anything. Like we're like, it's just simple out here. No one's looking to get something in exchange for something bigger, better.
Yeah. We soon after we moved here, we were taught a pretty good lesson. We took I think a plate of like brownies or cookies or something down to the neighbors down the road and dropped it off. And we gave them the plate. They're like, no, y'all are coming in and sitting down. So they came in and sat us down and they said, now look, when you bring somebody a plate of goodies, so you bring it in a glass bowl, not a paper plate like this. That way they have to bring it back and they're going to fill it up with some other goodies to give back to you. So from now on, you give it in a glass bowl or something that they have to return and fill up.
I'll have to remember that because it was like the neighbor had given us like a woven basket to like it was just loaded with stuff, and so I don't think we had anything to really give at that time. No produce. I don't know. Maybe I could have thrown in like some breakfast sausage that I made. So I don't know. Yeah. Next year or this year maybe. So
there you go.
So I want to hear more about your goats. So you still have the goats, right?
We do still have the goats. We've got four goats and 2 babies right now. Should be more, but that's what happens when we move on.
What breed are they?
They're actually a mix. And I'm trying to remember exactly what they are. I don't remember. I'm not sure. They're a cross between. Oh, you put me on the spot. Now I can't think of what they are.
That's all right. If you think about it, just that's all right.
Yeah.
Was the cross intentional or just like they were cheap on Craigslist? So
No, actually, they came from my father-in-law, and he had an extra billion nanny, which we got the first two as babies, 3 years ago, I think, and they were a cross in his herd, and so that's just what they were here, and we've had and sold a couple of babies. We still have one of the babies from the original nanny, which was the one that died that I mentioned earlier. And then last summer we bought two other nannies, and we've had one of those that we bought just had a set of twins, and I believe the other two are pregnant and should have babies at some point. At least they look like it. Maybe we're just feeding them too much. I'm not sure. With goats, though, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna ask, what is it that you get out of the goats? Like, do you get milk, or are you raising for meat?
They're meat goats. Yeah. Well, these are not milk goats. I suppose maybe you could, but I don't think they produce enough. But these are a meat breed. We haven't eaten any yet, but we've sold them. There's actually right now supposedly there's pretty good money in goats.
It seems like all the obviously like cattle's kind of like saturated for the most part. I mean, it's kind of like a legacy thing, right? More for the most part. And then like chickens are like the backyard. And then, there's like pigs, goats, and sheep are all kind of like the mid-tier, like farmer homesteader type. And it seems like all the mid-tier is like rising in popularity, like more pigs, more sheep, more goats.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice to see.
Yeah, it is. It's fun to see that, and I think goats, especially kind of in our area, are there's a lot of farms around that have goats, and I don't know if it's because of maybe some of your ethnic populations that eat goat meat, like the halal and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard there's a pretty good market in that, at least towards like Nashville, maybe towards Knoxville, which those are both right about 2.5 hours each side of us. I haven't had enough goats to plug into that yet, so just from people I know, I've bought a couple and sold a couple.
Sure.
Our herd's not up to size yet. Still working on that one.
Right. Why goats?
Opportunity. The wife wanted them, and she went to Virginia where her family lives and came home with goats.
Was that a surprise or something that was discussed prior?
I don't remember. I knew they were coming before she got here, but I don't think she went with the intent of bringing them home. That's usually how it goes, right?
Okay. Yeah.
No, they were fun. I don't know. Goats are fun. We wanted to use them to clean up a lot of our woods. Like, so we've got some really thick wooded areas that have been overgrown, and we've used them to clean a lot of that up. And they've done a really fantastic job. So that was one of the reasons why we wanted to go with goats. And I don't know, they're a lot of fun. Like our Billy,
they do look like fun.
They are. Our Billy is massive. Like he stands. I mean, his head is like up to here on me, and I'm not that tall though, 5'9", but he's huge. If he wanted to hurt you, like he would really put a hurting on you. But he likes to be petted. He likes to have his head scratched, and
lucky you.
I know, right? He thinks he likes to play, but he's too big to play with because he can put a hurting on you.
like a miniature horse or something.
Yes, yeah. He, I've had to fight him a couple of times when we trim his hooves and do some of that stuff. We need to give him medication. I have to try to fight him. If he was mean, there's no way I could do anything with him.
Sure.
He's big.
Damn, that is a really big goat.
Yeah. I don't know. I haven't seen many that big. Like he's surprised me how big he has gotten.
So is he the only one that you're using like to inseminate like the the nannies?
Yes, yeah, he'd be the only boar that we've had. We did have a young Billy that was born, and I think we sold one, and one ended up dying. Oh, that's another way that we've managed to kill an animal. I didn't know that in early spring when goats, they're ruminants, I didn't know that the first green grass that they eat, they might have a tendency to clog up their rumen because it's off-gassing, because they basically digest their food kind of in their first stomach,
Okay.
however, their rumen or something, and it off-gasses. And if they're not used to that, like, it can especially happen for babies, but around the first green grass of the spring, it can happen because they're not used to it. They've been eating a lot of hay and stuff like that, but it basically suffocates them because they can't burp, and they just expand, and they can't breathe because of the air.
Heard about that.
I don't remember what that's called. I should remember these things.
I don't remember what it's called either, but I was like watching like a discussion on Twitter. This guy was like, "What is wrong with my goat?" And like, this woman I interviewed, like, she jumped in and she's like, "Okay, here's what you got to do." Da 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 da, and she saved the goat essentially.
Oh,
like
that's awesome.
Like from wherever they're from to wherever the other guy lives. And then like what's weird is like a month later it happened to one of her goats, but she couldn't save it. And so it was such like a weird like twist of fate, right? Like, yeah.
That's
So
sad.
yeah, but it sounded kind of like the same thing. It's like, it's not goat bloat, but it's kind of like goat bloat.
Yeah,
something
I
on
might
that
be
those
what
lines.
I thought it was called. Something similar to that. Yeah.
Yeah, like they, was it like foaming? Like, did it have like foam around its mouth and stuff, or not really?
I don't remember. I don't think. I mean, basically, yeah. I don't know. It's been like 2 years ago. I don't remember how
That's
exactly it happened.
That's all right. That's all right. So what has worked well for you? We've talked a lot about what hasn't worked so well.
There's
got to be some dummies in there, right?
Oh man, what's worked well? The thing that's worked the best is using the goats to clear land, to clear trees, eat vines, eat poison ivy, eat the roses that grow everywhere. That's been fantastic. It's going to be a little bit more challenging trying to move some of the goats around with a bigger herd, because when we used them to clear out some of our trees, we only had 2. And so they would pretty well follow us to where we wanted them, and we'd corral them in a small area or put a rope on them or something. But that's worked really well. We've used them to clean out quite a bit. And then the second thing is the pigs. Like, they are great at rooting up an area. They're great at coming in after the goats, because the goats will eat everything from knee high up to as high as they can climb. The pigs will eat everything from there down to the roots. And the combination of those two just can transform a woods. It's quite something to see.
Did you say that you followed the pigs by planting corn behind them at one point, or no?
Not yet. The area that they're in right now that we have is probably, I'm going to guess, a half an acre. It's pretty well worked up. So come springtime, run a disc through it, till it up a little bit, just to work it loose, and then we plan to plant corn there.
Gotcha. All right.
Excuse me.
So what's been the biggest challenge, would you say? Is it the animal husbandry part, like trying to like get everybody through like to the next season, or
that sometimes? Probably the biggest challenge last summer was having to move the pigs ended up being about every week to maybe 2 weeks, depending on how big a pen I put up for them. That's just, it's time consuming, putting in all the posts and running the wire and then trying to move them. And the last thing you want to do on a hot summer day is go move the pigs again when I moved them a week ago.
That would get old, yeah.
Yeah, that, and I guess probably keeping up with the garden spaces, trying to keep the weeds down and things not working right. And then when things do grow right, it's almost ripe and the June bugs move in and eat it, from before your very eyes. That's painful. That happened to our grapes and our blackberries and our raspberries last year. It's like, they look so tasty. I think they'll be ready tomorrow. And then they're gone.
Why, man, I've heard that story over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what the plant is, doesn't matter what the pest is. It's like, I just want to give it one more day, and the bugs are like, have the same plan, and
and they move in and wipe it out.
Yeah.
We grow the triple crown blackberries, and they get, as big as the end of your thumb, and so tasty. But you have to fight the June bugs for them. Like the best ones are the ones that you have to flick them off of, and then you get the berry and eat it. But
that's how you know it's good,
right? I'm not sure if I should be eating those though, but those are the tastiest.
You could just, just preemptively eat the
bugs.
bugs. Yeah, that's protein, right?
Even chickens don't like those things.
If the chicken won't eat it, that's probably not too good.
Yeah, that and the Japanese beetles and all the things.
All the things. Have you ever tried planting anything like sacrificial?
Let me see. We've done a little bit of that. I think our best, as far as like pest deterrent and stuff.
Basically, yes. Like we planted Brussels sprouts one year, hoping to get Brussels. Well, it was amongst a bunch of other stuff, and we got 0 Brussels sprouts because, bugs ate them all, but they left everything else alone. So everything else did great.
Yeah, I think what's worked best for us is a healthy amount of weeds around. Like they're
Really.
Well,
I haven't heard that.
Especially certain kinds of things, like they are trap plants. Like if you have nothing but your food growing there, the bugs are all going to go for your food. But if you have a healthy weeds around, which is not on purpose, but it turned out to be a benefit because a lot of the bugs went to the weeds. So
this is feeding into my laziness. This is great.
Exactly.
Love
That's a good excuse.
It's a very specific, highly engineered gardening plan.
Exactly. I put those weeds there on purpose, man.
I have to transplant those. So what would you say the best part is about homesteading?
The best part. And there's so much good in it. It is a lot of work. It's a lot of headache. It takes a lot of money to fund it. Oh wait, you asked for all the good points, not the. I'm going down the wrong road here.
But as you were saying that, I was like, yeah, but.
All right, but come on now. The good food, the pork chops the other day make it all worth it. The chicken that we grow and raise out and butcher and eat every year, like on a cold summer evening, you get some hot chicken soup. That makes all those days of carrying chicken feed and soaking it and moving the chickens around and doing the actual butcher process. That makes it worth it. When you actually can sink your teeth into something that you raised, you put your time and effort into. I put that watermelon seed in the ground, and it grew into watermelon that then I went and picked and ate, and I've never had anything so good. And that corn that you grew, those fried green tomatoes that were on the vine 5 minutes ago, just all of that, when you can go out and pick something off the vine and walk into the house and eat it. I don't know. There's just something satisfying about that, something grounding about it.
Yeah, definitely. It's just it's more like, your property is producing for you, right? Instead of like it being nothing but maintenance, like it's actually like
Mm,
giving back to you, and
yeah.
more than just like, I enjoy it here. Like, no, it's literally nourishing you, right?
Yeah. Yep. That's it's incredible the cycle of things. Like, we always talk about the cycle of life, but I mean that is true. You care for the land and it produces back for you. It gives back to you, takes care of you.
That's right. So in my questionnaire that I send out, I always ask people like, what's something that they want to talk about? Like, I have all these things that I want to talk about. Like, what what other questions do you have? And so this was an interesting one that you gave me was what you got that's worth living for?
What you got is worth living for. That's a
What you
that's a
got that's
line.
worth living for?
That's a line off of what's that movie? The Princess Bride. Is that what you got is worth living for? I don't know if you ever seen
I'm
that
not.
movie.
It's been a long time.
Yeah, been a while for me too. It struck me. That's something that I have been wrestling with myself for the last few years. Is what actually do I have that's worth living for? And I I probably go around with that a little too much. I know I obviously have a purpose. I've had a few near death experiences in the last few years, and when you should have died and you didn't, things get hard, and you're like, okay, now why am I here? It'd be easier to not be here. I just don't want to be dealing with this. But obviously, there's a reason why we're here. So, purpose or the why that we're here is something that I love talking about. And I think I know my purpose. Maybe I've oversimplified what purpose actually is, but yeah, I don't know. I think we all have a purpose. That didn't answer your question. You said, what do I have that's worth living for?
No, this is good. Let's just keep
Yeah.
rolling with that.
Yeah.
Like, I want to keep going. I want to hear more.
Well, let me ask you this. I'll turn it around.
Oh
How
man.
do you define purpose? Like what does purpose mean to you?
I mean, it could be like what motivates you, what gets you out of bed in the morning, what puts a smile on your face, um what responsibilities you have, um like to your wife. And like for me, it's like to my wife and kids, um providing for them, finding just joy in things. Could be like little things like going for a hike, or it could be like massive things, like going on like a kind of extravagant vacation or something like that.
Mhm.
So I mean, there's lots of little like things you could fill your life with purpose for. So like when I gave my notice to my previous employer, he was like he beside himself, could not believe, like, I think he said, he's like, it feels like I got hit by a truck. Kind of like,
Mm.
where does this coming from? And like we kind of talked about it like the following week. I'm like, I'm just ready to like move on to like do something different. And like I'm just what I want to like this, like I don't feel like this job is fulfilling my purpose. And then I think I with that statement, I think I lost him. Like uh and it's like, okay, yeah, he's like 65, and so he's probably like, okay, yeah, I kind of remember when I was kind of stupid like that too, like because he was like like he didn't say that, but you could kind of like tell it's kind of like, oh, to be young.
Oh yeah, that guy.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he was like but until he had kids, he was a ski bum, and so like I'm sure he remembers that. But
Mhm.
that was 40 years ago, and so what was the question?
I was asking what purpose means to you, or how you define purpose.
Yeah, so I mean, what what makes you feel alive? Like what?
Mm-hmm.
How would you find joy in your day? Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say are can I ask you a couple of questions?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right. What would you say are some things that you are really good at? Like if you think about the things that you're best at, I'm sure you can come up with a handful of them.
Good at starting projects. Good at having ideas, even if they're not that good.
Yeah.
I'm good at jumping into new things. Like it can be a little spontaneous, and my wife like reins that in for me, thankfully. So I'm not just like I
Well,
probably yeah, it's very much like that. Ask the 3D printer in the basement.
wait, you have one of those too?
Yeah, yep, exactly.
Mine's the desktop CNC.
But I don't know. I get interested in a thing, kind of go explore it, and then like I either keep at it or just like kind of put it on the shelf, and I feel like I'll come back to that later. No, I won't.
Yeah,
But
so you're really good at ideas, starting things, and finding information, maybe finding solutions to a problem or something.
I mean, yeah, I do like coming up with solutions to stuff. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like, oh, here's your problem.
Yeah.
Let's come up with a solution.
Well, okay. Another question. What would you say are some things that you're passionate about?
I'm passionate about helping other people, and just I actually like doing hard work. Like it sounds really weird. Like give me a shovel all day, like, and I'll dig a hole. Um,
Mhm.
Unfortunately, that doesn't pay very well, and so now I sit at a desk and I
Yeah.
saw something on Twitter because like the whole people on TikTok posting their videos of their day, like their bullshit job, right?
Mhm.
And it's like someone asked the question, is like, why is it that the bullshit jobs pay better than the like the real jobs, right? Like, why is that? And I thought it was like, that's a good question. Like, I kind of wondered the same thing.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's a good question, but like anybody can run a shovel. So I mean that takes no skill,
I like me.
right? But I mean, there's you can only get so much better at running a shovel. Like
That's
you
true.
can run it better than the next guy, but not enough to make it worth paying 10 times more. But if you get a guy that you put those two same guys on on an excavator, he's going to go knock the house down that he's trying to dig a trench beside, and you might be able to get it the hole, the perfect width, the perfect depth, the perfect grade and everything. Your value in running that excavator is 10 times more than his. Well, 1,000 times more because he destroyed the house and knocked it down while he was trying to dig beside it. So I mean, the lower skill jobs obviously have to pay lower because there's a billion people that can do that. There's only
Fair
half a
enough.
million that can do this other one. I don't know. That's kind of the way I look at it. Going back to those questions, when you can when you have time to do anything you want, what are you interested in doing?
Oh man, it depends on the day. We're talking about the squirrel thing, right?
Yeah.
That I have options, that I have. It depends on what I'm interested in. Like that, I'm not just like, Matt the woodworker or
Mhm.
Matt the podcaster or whatever, right? Matt the gardener, chicken tender, I guess,
Yeah.
whatever. Like I have all these things that I like doing. So,
Yeah.
um, Matt the retired 3D printer, or
Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that. I think my desktop CNC has probably gathered more dust in storage than it did while it was being used to CNC wood.
It just so any dust that came about it basically just got put back. Just
Right? Yeah, something like that.
equal and
So,
opposite.
yeah, my excuse me. My point with these questions is going back to the purpose thing. I think that purpose can be found. Like, we tend to think of purpose as some Lord of the Rings-esque quest where you carry this ring and you throw it into the fires of Mount Doom after a long, hard journey and you've found your purpose. But I believe that purpose is using our skills, the things that you're good at, the things that we're passionate about, the things that we're interested in, the opportunities that are in front of us, and doing whatever we can within those things to make a difference in the lives of other people. Because obviously the things you're good at, you're probably going to enjoy most of those. The things you're passionate about, you're for sure going to enjoy those. The things you're interested in. You look at these people that have a YouTube channel about fishing. That's their interest and their passion, and they're making a difference in the lives of people. They are living with purpose. Like I think that we make purpose is the word ethereal or I don't even know how to say it, but like it's too much of a mystical thing when it's simply figuring out what you're good at, what you're interested in, and go out and make a difference for somebody.
Right. Isn't that half the fun is finding that out? I mean, like if someone, it'd be like spoiler alert, right? For your entire life where it's like, hey, when you're like, let's say 12 or whatever, where you have like a okay concept of things. Like, like someone comes up to you, like some old man, right? Like, I don't know, whatever, some wizard guy or like the giver, like, and, comes through, he's like, your purpose in life is blah, blah, blah. And then so like you almost never had to deviate off the path to figure that out on your own. Whereas
some people would like that.
Good for them.
Exactly. I'm the type that likes I like to have a plan. I don't like ambiguity in things that like, I'm not sure how I want this, but let's make it happen. Like if I'm doing something for somebody, I want to know what the expectations are so I can make it happen. I don't want to, I like a plan to follow. I like details. Sure. But I also like the freedom on my own things to be able to explore it, to figure it out, to go deep down the rabbit hole on something and be like, okay, I'm done with that, and move on to the next thing. But I also find purpose and fulfillment in doing good things for other people. And along with that, I think that we can find purpose in any job or in anything that we're in, any situation. Like even if it's a job you hate, if you're a people person, you can find purpose in the few interactions you have with other people. If you are a detail person, you can find purpose in making the finest details pop, or like putting just doing the best work possible. You can find purpose in that.
Yeah.
Even if it's washing toilets or like Mike Rowe going down into the sewer and doing whatever, like he's finding purpose in showing people that there are jobs out there that, yeah, they suck. They're really quite literally shitty jobs.
Yeah.
But you can find purpose in that because somehow, some way you're making a difference for people.
Right.
Maybe that's too simple. I don't know.
There was, I don't know who said it, but it was something like, if you want a happy life.
Happy wife?
Well, I mean, that is one way, but to broaden it just a little bit was, if you want a happy life, try to make like other people's lives happy first, and then you'll find happiness for your own, or something like. I'm totally butchering it, but I just like heard it the other day, and I was like, oh.
It's very similar to Zig Ziglar's quote: "You can have anything you want in life if you help enough other people get what they want first."
I think that's what it was. That's what it was, and I just like, I don't know, heard it.
Perfect paraphrase, though. I mean, I totally knew what you meant.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many people. Like, if you look at a lot of wealthy people, older people that they've hoarded everything for themselves, they're unhappy. They're unfulfilled. We find happiness and fulfillment when we help other people find happiness and fulfillment. It's a paradox. It is. Like, it doesn't seem like it makes any sense until you experience it. When I help somebody else have a light bulb moment, like they're trying to figure something out, and I can help them out in whatever conversation, and they have a light bulb moment, like, that's awesome for me. That I'm on top of the world there.
Yeah.
When you can help other people, make a difference for them, help them to, I don't know. I don't have a way with words. Some people have a way with words, others not have way. And I'm often that other person. But yeah, I definitely believe that when we are focused on other people rather than ourselves is when we're the happiest in life.
I completely agree. That's why I kind of went on like this. Why I started what I started was like, you know, I've got all these projects going on here, and like, yeah, that's cool. That'd be done if those could get done. But what if I did other people's projects? Like, how much more like happier like would they be that they got help than me getting stuff done here? Like,
Yeah.
that would feel pretty good to just do that all the time.
With you taking on that new job, is that goal still in the works, just pushed back farther, or have you kind of stuck a pin in that?
It's kind of a combination. So from what I've decided, because I don't want to just like, I don't want to pack it up. Like, that doesn't, because it's still something I want to do. So that didn't seem like an option.
Yeah.
I don't really want to push it back, because then it might just keep getting pushed back. So what I've decided on is to still do it, but just like locally, because I was gonna go like anywhere and everywhere. Like, I had people all the way in like New York and over to Florida and through like the Midwest and East Coast and all this stuff. One in like California, and so it would have been quite the journey, but with, you know, just having to be in an office every day, it's just makes it harder. And like, like I said, like
possibilities on that one.
Unfortunately not. There's too much hands-on that you got to do. I mean, there's like report writing that you like, that part could be remote, but there's like a physical aspect to it too. Having to be in the warehouse to like set up for, I do have to go out into the field about 30 to 50% of the time.
Gotcha.
So, like other
that's
states.
Hard to do from remote.
Yeah. Unless, I mean, like, well, I'm already remote. I'll just, for wherever I am, just go out to the field. Like, I thought about that, but I think I need to put my time in before, pitching that idea.
Yeah.
So, how much time you got left?
Oh, all night.
Okay. You said you had a couple of, if you want to go into it, you said you had a couple of near-death experiences in the last couple of years. I'm curious about that and like how it shapes like your outlook, right?
Mm-hmm. So the first one was early 2020, February, I think, February the 10th. Cold, rainy day. I just come back to Kentucky from Georgia, and was driving in my 2000 Silverado that I'd had for like 10 years. and came up around, it was kind of coming up a hill, and it curved around to the left, and there was a dip in the road. And when I hit that dip, it shifted the weight on my truck, and my tires were just bald enough that I'd spun out and ended up rolling over onto the side, onto the driver's side of the truck, and we're spinning down in the oncoming traffic lane. And here comes an oil truck coming up the hill. Thankfully, he was alert and was a very good driver, and he swerved over into our lane and just clipped the back of the truck instead of coming through the bottom of the cab. And my wife and I were able to climb out of the back window of the truck and walk away from it.
Holy crap.
Yes, like, talk about, I felt the truck slide, and I said, oh, crap. And my wife was like, what? And then we went spinning and rolling and walked away from it. I don't have any ongoing issues from it. My wife still has back trouble from it because she was on the upside. Neither one of us had our seatbelt on, but she was, when the truck rolled over onto the side, I just kind of sat against the door, and she kind of rolled out back, and she was actually the one that kicked out the back window and we were able to climb out of. So she's still got issues. For about a year and a half, I had trauma at certain points on the road, like especially if it was a rainy day and somebody come around the curve just right.
Your hands were get clammy and
yeah, you'd have a flashback and like freeze. Like, where did that come from? About 2 months after it happened, I came around another curve or over a hill or something, and a truck exactly like the one that hit us popped over the hill, and I was like, whoa. Like, took me right back to that moment. And yeah, so I don't think I have any recurring issues from that. That ended about a year and a half after, as far as the flashbacks and the trauma and the wondering what if and why. Like, I did a lot of wondering, like thinking about what if he hadn't been paying attention? You know, why am I still here? What is my purpose? What is my reason for still being here?
right.
I don't know if I don't know if there's a specific thing that I'm supposed to do yet, but the only thing that I know to do is to, like I was saying earlier, to keep doing what I'm good at, what I'm passionate about, what I'm interested in, and going out and working for other people. There's nothing wrong with making money in it, but like making a difference in the lives of other people. Now, when you can do those things as a career, that just like 10x's your life. It does. Instead of having a sucky life and then doing those things on the weekend.
That's right.
It's a lot better. The other one was a little over a year ago. I got pneumonia, and I was on the couch on my back for about 6 weeks. My wife thought I was gonna die. Yeah,
6 weeks.
It was rough. Like, I've never had such pain. I couldn't breathe right. I don't know. I'm not sure how I pulled through, but I'm still here today. So
Damn, I'm glad you're here, man.
I am too, most times. So those are the only two recent ones. When I was a kid, my cousins and our families took a Western trip, and I was out. We were climbing around some bluffs out on the West Coast, and I got into a situation where I couldn't go up, I couldn't go down, I couldn't back up, and it was like a 70, 80-foot drop down to the rocks and water below me, and I was like, well, this might be it. But managed to get out of that one too, so there might be.
How'd you manage to get out of that then? What'd you do? Just float to the top?
I don't know. Like, in my memory, I mean, that's been 20 years ago. I think that was, yeah. So in my memory, it was pretty sandy around there, and we were climbing around the edge, and I tried to get up this one spot, and there was just a little knob of, I don't know, rock or something sticking out, and so I grabbed a hold of that and tried to climb up, it was too high for me to reach the next level. Well, here I am standing here. If I let go, I'm going to slide off the end, shoot out over the edge. And I'm not sure how I managed to get back to where I came from, but I did. So
Sounds like a miracle to me.
I don't know. It's, you think about those things, you're like, how did I not die multiple times?
There's a guy I worked with. We never really like talked about religion, but he did say, he's like, I 100% believe in angels, because he was like on his way to like fall off a roof or something like that, and he physically felt like it felt like somebody grabbed his shirt and pulled him back so he wasn't going to fall off the roof. Yeah,
that's incredible.
Yeah,
you hear stories like that, and it if you don't believe already, it makes you believe.
Right. Yeah. Hopefully you don't have to experience it firsthand to be a believer.
Yeah.
But wrapping up here, what would you tell people that want to get started homesteading?
Get started homesteading. Oh man, you about have to go back to what Jack always says. Jack Spirko of the Survival Podcast. Start with what you have, where you are, and do what you can. Like, if you have the opportunity to, start a little garden, then start the garden where you're at. If you want a bigger piece of land, if you have the opportunity to get on that land, go for it. Don't let it hold you back. Don't let the fact that you want 10 acres hold you back from starting a garden on the half acre that you have access to. Maybe don't put in permanent infrastructure that costs $10,000 if you're going to move in a year, but you can start something anywhere you are. But just start. Do a little bit. If you've never homesteaded before, start with an indoor grow system or a little bed outside. You can do something, I promise. Whether that's quail, or because those don't take a lot of maintenance or space, or whether that is just a little garden bed outside where you're growing lettuce or tomatoes or peppers. Peppers grow like crazy. If you're in the hot, sunny South, you can grow peppers like crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know. It almost with anything. If you want to do something, you have to start. I'm reading or listening to I think it's a Napoleon Hill book called How to Own Your Own Mind. And he said this, and it hit me square in the face. He said, unless a man becomes action conscious, he will never become an organized thinker. He might think from morning until night, but unless he puts his thoughts into action, he'll be nothing more than a daydreamer. And I'm like, I like to think about things. I like to be a thinker. I hope people, when they think of me, yeah, that's a smart dude. That's I want that for me, and I know I have such a long ways to go for that. But to only think and to not put anything into action, all the things I'm thinking about and learning and growing in, if I don't act on that, what good is it? I've been a tool, and if I don't use it, what good is the tool?
Right.
If you're learning about something, it does no good if you're not helping somebody else with it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. I don't know. How are you on the religion scale?
Not practicing, but
yeah.
I believe.
Yeah. I'm a Christian, and I believe that our gifts, talents, all those things are given to us from God. And my biggest fear is that I reach the end of my life and I've been given a set of skills, or I've been given something to use, and I reach the end of my life and haven't used them. Like I look back and like there's an unused tool on the table that sat there collecting dust my whole life. Like I do not want that. We're supposed to use what we're given.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Since we're talking about, like quotes and stuff, I was listening to the interview you did with Toolman Tim, and can you remind me, you said you have it posted behind your screen, like behind your computer. I think you said you have it on the wall. I don't remember the quote, but I remember that I did.
Do you remember the idea of it? Because I have several up here. I don't know if it's the same one.
Just pick your favorite one.
Okay, well, I have one here. It's kind of a formula. Unrealized growth equals untapped potential. Perpetual growth equals unlimited impact.
I think it was different, but that's fine. That one's a good one. I like that one.
Not long ago. I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and listen to that. I change them out every so often. I don't really see it.
That's all right. I totally put you on the spot on that one.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
It's too long ago. I have a hard time remembering something I said last week in the last podcast.
I'm with you. Like, what did I say?
Right? It happened in the past. Why do I have to remember it?
Good thing it was recorded.
Exactly.
I like that thing that I said. So hey man, I got your let's see. You got me your social media links, so you can find Ken on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Yep.
And what's the main focus? So you've got the Construction Liberty podcast, and then you've got a new one starting up. Is that right? Or you just started?
Yep. It is called. Now you put me on the spot again.
Empowering Forward Momentum.
Well, that's my coaching business. The name of the podcast is Finding the Next Level.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So I'm designing a kind of a membership for solo entrepreneur men to find purpose and fulfillment in the work they do in all areas of life. And I'm calling that Next Level. And so the podcast is Finding the Next Level. It's all about how we can find that purpose.
Gotcha.
So yeah.
That sounds awesome.
It's going to be fun. It's just going to be short episodes. Like I don't want to do a bunch of 30-minute episodes. I don't have time for that. They'll be 2 to 10 minutes at max. So
I think we got a little taste of what people could expect from hiring you on, because you said it's a membership thing, right?
It is, yes.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, check it out. I've got a couple different levels, and I mean there's a free group too. So if anybody's interested in joining, I'll send you the link so you can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, that'd be great, man.
Awesome.
So, I appreciate you being here. It was a good talk.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it was good to finally meet and everything. So
yeah, we'll have to reciprocate and have you on Constructive Liberty too.
All right. I used to do construction, so I think I'd fit.
There you go.
All right. Yeah. You have a good night, and thanks you everybody for watching as well.